can ask a question then? I just wanted to, there was some discussion on carbon trading just now. And one thing that's not quite clear to me at this point is what role would carbon trading play in Hong Kong? Is it from the perspective of a financial services center with expertise being in town, if you wish, to facilitate trading? Or is it more about actually generating carbon credits in Hong Kong that can then be traded? If there's any viewpoints from the panelists in terms of where do you see that going? Where should it be going? Maybe Alex, you can start about it.
Thank you, Hendrik. As you know, that's a very difficult question because there have been discussions around this for years and years and years. I mean, my vision of this is the financial services angle. You know, London is doing it in Europe, Hong Kong should be doing it in Asia, and if we don't, then somebody else will, probably Singapore, or else China will be so big that they will just have a national market and not be interested in any cross-border. I mean, we just don't know yet. But I think certainly we have the infrastructure, we have the various markets, we have a, you know, not huge, but commodity trading operations here, a lot of technical experience to build on, and we also have institutional investors who put money through here, who will at some point be interested in investing in and trading these commodities. So I just think it's completely logical that this business should grow up here. I mean, I think, just as Christine mentioned also, given our relatively limited scope to actually reduce emissions, and it's mostly energy efficiency through buildings, I don't think that side of it is likely to play so much of a role. It's more the technical and trading side.
And I assume that the Financial Services Development Council is focusing on that perspective?
May I offer a slightly different perspective? I've been looking at carbon trading for 20 years. As a matter of personal interest, and I think some of you in the room, we've had exchanges about carbon trading for a long time. And I think some of you also remember that the Hong Kong Stock Exchange did a study between 2006 and about, I think, 2007 to 2009, and decided that it really wasn't ready for it. And I think because between 2009 and frankly now, probably the right decision. Now, however, if you look at what's happening in China, I think it offers some perspective. First of all, the Chinese have not asked just the two established stock exchange to create carbon markets. They have not done that because they understood that if you asked the stock exchanges to do it, as these people are running billion-dollar businesses every day, that developing carbon trading is never going to get the attention. So you need a separate way to explore emissions trading. So what China has done is to ask different cities and provinces to do demonstration projects. And you know there are 7 or 8 of them around, and some of them are now operational. The other thought, I think, in China is they don't want emissions trading just to be a financial arrangement for traders to make money. They want the carbon trading system to perform the primary function of emissions reduction. And this is what they are trying to do right now. But there are a number of different examples that are happening. In Hong Kong, I don't think we have the expertise in emissions trading. We have a lot of expertise in trading other things, but not in emissions trading. So as of now, there is much more detailed conceptual and operational expertise across the border. And China may, before COP21, have more statements to make about how they see carbon trading, emissions trading for China. Now, we don't know exactly what they're going to say, But it could be something that will be made explicit this year. It could be something that will go into the 13th five-year plan, because they've been murmuring from time to time about this national, possibly some kind of national emissions market. That will be a very, very big deal for China. Question, we're sitting in Hong Kong. What should we do? Another way of thinking about it, which is different from Alexandra's, is to say, looking at where we are today, what is it that Hong Kong may be able to offer the mainland on emissions trading? Not necessarily for us to say, let's build a market here. They've got 8 across the border. So we need to ask a very practical question. What is it that we can offer? And I think there are some things that we can offer, but we need to have a good discussion locally about what that is.
Any insights from the floor about what that could be in terms of what Hong Kong could offer in that perspective? Anyone would like to share? Andrea, please.
Hi everyone, I'm sure a lot of familiar faces who will know that I have been looking at carbon trading and also green financing for Hong Kong for quite some years. Maybe I make 2 key points. One is to specifically related to carbon market, and then the second one will be broader. For carbon market, yeah, we have been really asking ourselves, Hong Kong, what is the role? What can we do to support, to contribute to the carbon market in China? When back in the few years ago, when China was still thinking about it, we had the opportunity to contribute, to be part of the national plan, a broader plan. Because at that time, the China government was still thinking and designing nuts and bolts and the conceptual thing. Okay, and as time moved on, and as Christine mentioned that at that time, Hong Kong Stock Exchange made the decision not to participate, and actually to develop carbon market is not only exchange role, there should be more roles for more other stakeholders. For example, legal, transparency, technology, lots of roles that Hong Kong could contribute. And as time moved on, some expertise actually even left Hong Kong, I would say, when Christine mentioned that you think that Hong Kong doesn't have the expertise for emission trading, which I agree partly for emission trading, but actually there are still a lot of things that Hong Kong could offer. For example, China carbon market, what they two main issues, what they struggle is liquidity, because some investors are not confident because information is not transparent. So there is definitely something that Hong Kong could contribute in terms of a couple of areas that I mentioned. So now I am also very glad that at least the Central Policy Unit of the Hong Kong government has included carbon trading into one of their interest areas to look at what Hong Kong could contribute. So this is one step the Hong Kong government made to really look into it, and we are here, all the stakeholders should really take this opportunity to contribute. And then specifically, a few pilots in China, actually, they did come to Hong Kong to look for collaboration opportunities based on Hong Kong's experience and nature of the emission, for example, building sector as well. But then I don't go into details for lots of these things. I do have some information if anyone who is interested can contact me. And then on another broader point about green financing, climate finance, I very, very, very much agree with Alex and Christine just said that, and Gavin as well, that when Hong Kong is on the world stage, Hong Kong has a lot of world-class expertise to offer. I have been also looking at how to make use of Hong Kong's strength to tackle climate change. This global sticky point is the finance. So then it's the finance. Hong Kong should be able to play a role, but how? Christine mentioned Ms. Laura Cha, and Alex mentioned about China. And well, actually a few years ago, I already organized an event talking about green financing. I just want to mention one learning point from the UK London experience is that when the political will is there to tackle climate change, and financial engineering will come together quickly because of all sorts of interests too. So China has the political will now. Hong Kong has the financial expertise. Ms. Laura Cha has the interest. So a lot of opportunities for really the financial sector. And this is actually exactly what's happening in the UK, how London developed itself as a green financial hub because of the EU's ambitious commitment to back up all these financial engineering, financial sector's growth. So this is just my sharing, and if anyone who would like to continue the discussion, just contact me.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Any response, any immediate response from our panelists? I'm conscious we have about 20 minutes left, so I would like to hand it over to the floor for some questions as well, and Glenn raised his hand first.
Glenn Promer from ESG Matters. I'd like to go back to the point Christine raised about the role that Hong Kong can play, the role that cities are going to play in the COP21. The role that Hong Kong can give the world is its amazing transport and urban development. It is a unique role, can be applied almost everywhere in the world in one way or another. This was recognized years ago in the International Association of Public Transport that's headquartered in Brazil. I led the Commission on Sustainable Development for 8 years. And we took this group of members, 3,000 transport authorities, big ones like the MTR, and small ones like London Underground and New York City Transport. But it covers buses, ferries, and trains all over the world and all the continents. We took that and I authored the Declaration of Climate Change, which were the contributions that each public transport authority were going to bring to COP21 in Paris. It was discussed in September at the Ban Ki-moon meeting. It was approved. That's the way they wanted to move. All of that was based on the Hong Kong public transport system and the urban development in Hong Kong. Now I think that's the kind of example, Christine, you were talking about, of bringing, of what cities can bring to COP21.
Okay, more of a comment, I suppose. All right, more question. Is there a question or comment? Rachel from the back on the far left, and then Anne will come after. Or the person right in front of Anne, that is.
Hi, Rachel Fletcher from BASF, formerly and always a climate change issue watcher. And thanks to Glenn, I was actually going to bring up a similar point, which is Hong Kong is not simply a city of financiers, and financial people don't simply invest in clean energy. Actually, our ability to take action is much broader than that, and the examples I was going to raise were not public transport, but other transport. We've got an airport which has decided it wants to be the world's greenest airport. They've got over 300 different initiatives underway to start to aspire to take action towards that goal. We have major shipping ports that are among the most efficient in the world because of the constraints of space, a bit like MTR. There's actually quite a lot we can do, and speaking from a global business perspective, it makes sense for sectors around the world to come to their own means of contributing to the climate goal. So the shipping industry has been talking about this for years, hasn't made as much progress as some of us would like to see. Aviation has been talking about it for years. I'm from the chemical company, we're talking about it too. But this is, again, a place where Hong Kong people, as well as Hong Kong government, can and should set our ambitions a bit higher.
Response from the panelists. It's not a direct question. Okay, Gavin, please go.
Sure, thank you. I agree there's a lot more that we could be doing around Hong Kong, and to take a couple of examples there, I think the airport was mentioned and MTR as well. If we actually look at who is the biggest consumer of electricity in the whole city, it's actually the Hong Kong government, either directly through its infrastructure or indirectly through the various interests it has a controlling share of, such as MTR and Airport Authority. And so the more ambition that we can see, for example, MTR Corporation, that's about 3.1% of our electricity usage in the city. I'll give you a comparative example. The Dutch railway system, about the same size as MTR in terms of ridership, in terms of power usage. They've made a commitment recently to go towards 100% renewable energy over time, not right away, because they want to encourage investments in new renewable energy. And that's obviously going to be a slight cost differential in the Netherlands, but they figure that they can make the numbers add up. And already you're seeing a drive for greater renewable energy investments through an entity where passengers have been asking for a cleaner ride as well. So that's just an example of how government procurement directly or indirectly can have a very big impact over the market and the growth in the right kinds of markets that we like to see.
Certainly in our climate document, which we will publish before COP21, we will have discussions on transport, and we will have discussions about sectors. Now, in terms of sectors in Hong Kong, the ones